hello, everybody. If you are here, then you are in the right place in the universe. Imagine that. Of time, space, in its multi-dimensions, here you are, as we are. So welcome, everybody. This is a second look. We haven't been together with my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix. And Trina, how are you? It's good to see you again, darling.
Oh, it's so good to see you too. I've missed you terribly, and I'm so grateful to be back with you and the Soul Tribe. It's terrible. It's hard to process when we don't get our Wayne. It doesn't work well for me.
It's like, man, I mean, that's all I can say is we were here. I mean, it's just that we weren't, actually here. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Sure.
it
Yeah,
does.
sure it does. Yeah.
It does. Definitely does.
Well, I've missed you, darling, and it's good to see you. Jenny, I know will be joining us. And so we're just speak favor over all of you fine folks. Deborah and Gilbert, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Joyce and Lori, good to see you. I think Nina is off seeing the grandkids, and that's fun,
Yeah.
Joyce, hello, and all the rest of y'all. I think that one is actually frozen. So it is frozen. It's like, geez, what happened there?
Right.
I have no idea. So Trina, what have you been doing since the last we got together?
I went to Mexico.
You went to Mexico?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah. I just decided, I was like, I need a break. I'm getting out of here. And I went to Mexico, and it was so wonderful. It was what I needed. It was good friends, good people. The people we went with, they're kind of locals. They're there most of the year, every single weekend for 3-4 days. So everywhere we went, everybody knew them. It was just super wonderful, safe, beautiful people. Met lots of owners of fancy restaurants and got treated like royalty. And
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, they're so generous and so wonderful. So I think we just had a really rare, precious weekend of wonderful people, wonderful food, just beach, sun, and fun. Too short, though. I need about another month of that.
I'm constructing, my beach on the other side. And so, that's the idea. I mean, when people come to visit the beach, and many of you are welcome, it's going to be just like reality here.
Yeah.
You'll have because there's nothing better than, I think, spending, like, I used to do a lot of surfing, and you get out right when the sun is coming up, and you get into all this cardio work. Who knew?
Yeah.
And nothing like sunbathing as well. I mean, it's sun worshiping. It really is.
It sure is.
And I do that all the time when I'm meditating on my porch, the deck out there. So and then you get a great tan, Yeah, you do. and then you get to go where all the restaurants are, so you don't have to fix the food. The food is already fixed. It's just deciding what you want.
And can I just tell you, Wayne, the difference of the fruits and the produce there? Wow, the raspberries, they tasted so different, so wonderful. Even the meat tasted so different. It was just, you really realize the difference of our food versus other countries' foods. And it's quite interesting to what it does for your body and your palate. Your palate is like, wow, this is what I remember when I was a kid. It's kind of cool.
It ain't the same world. Hey, Jenny, how you doing, dear?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good to see you, hon.
Hi, Trina. Theo had disasters just as I was about to come on. I was like, come on.
Always, right? Always.
Timing
is impeccable,
Yeah. So I'm good. It's been really warm here for, unusually, well, not unusually so. We've had really good times of really good summers. I think that's just coming back around. I think we'll grow grapes here again in 3 years' time. So it's been nice.
Is it warmer when you say warmer in Fahrenheit? What is it? Is it in the 70s or 80s?
I haven't got a clue, Wayne. I just know it's hot. I'm not
so
even.
In Celsius, what's your temperatures?
I don't know.
Oh.
I've got no clue. I don't watch anything that would tell me.
I love that. I mean, that's exactly the point.
I
Yeah, I
just
love
go
that.
from foraging, winter
Yeah,
bird.
but it's been warm, right?
Yeah, real warm.
Yeah, it's been really, I can say this, it's been a cold, because meteorologically summer starts June 1st. So
Yeah,
that's, that's when they say, then we have, of course, the calendar for the solstice and equinox, but it has been actually cold here.
it's
And
just
It,
it's
it
just
got down to 55 degrees in Mexico when we were there.
now that's
really.
cold. Yeah.
It was cold. I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on right now? This is crazy. And the clouds were like on the ground. So the clouds like came down to the ground and it was like a mist and it got
Love
to
that.
55. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, wow, this is very, like you said, in June, what is
Yeah.
going on here? Not normal for Mexico.
Not normal. And that's the
No.
theme for the show,
Yeah.
about
Not
keeping
normal.
your shit together when all hell breaks loose. Because
Right?
I think we're about to see stuff that is going to freak out the general population. I really do. I believe, Trina, we're talking before we went live. So Jenny, we're going to pull you in. Come on, we're going to give you a big hug here. And we're going to tell
Bring
you
it
what we
in.
were talking about.
Bring it in.
And big hug, everyone in the chat room, big hug. Come
I love
on.
you all.
We just speak favor over y'all. Nothing missing, nothing broken.
Yes.
If you confess that long enough, it will start becoming real. And when it starts
Yes.
becoming real, baby, you're creating your future, man. That's all I got to tell you.
Yes.
So, just telling
true.
you, it's true.
It
But
is true.
the thing today in our topic is that finding that balance, keeping your perspective, your shit together, because this is just me, but I believe that they have been preparing all of us, because we're all sheeple in one manner or of another. We like to think we're sovereign and above that, but yet there's this master program running. I mean, I can feel it. I just don't know who the hell is running it. Because if this is a human, then where is their mind at? I don't know. And if this is not human, then holy crap. But I believe that they're about to make full disclosure with beings that aliens are in fact real. I believe that we're about to see manifested in the skies fleets of these crafts. And I believe it's the only thing they can do to distract the whole world from what is happening right now, which is a general collapse of our modern day society.
Yeah. I've got thoughts.
Talk to me. Tell us.
We are gonna see this unveiling of what a lot of us have felt coming. The fact is that these plans are rolling plans, and I don't feel for 1 minute, and anybody who knows me feels that the history timeline, even when you talk about the calendar, they've got to keep readjusting it with the leap years and stuff, because it just doesn't work.
It ain't working out, man. Funky math.
As a shift and spiral managed, just flow of energies of life, that their calendar doesn't work. So for as long as that calendar has been in place, as long as this one of the major hijacks of a few crazies taking over the many has happened. And so this plan has been a very big rolling plan, and just with each technology and age, they've had different things to their disposal, and the internet has created, just like electricity, that when it first got wired up into houses, people were going crazy. And I wish I could remember who said this, but one of the electricians or scientists said, "Are you sure we know what we're doing here?" Because that brought in that brought in another portal of energy, didn't it? It conducts energy right into the home in a way that people weren't sort of used to. The internet's done the same thing. And with that, they've been able to running experiments like social media in order to be able to use them in warfare. So we are in a state of war.
Do you think that this is human or alien that
I think
is
it's a bit of
behind
both.
this?
That's what I think. It's a bit of both. And I think that's when sometimes the indoctrination of the one charge and looking for that one being or one type of being or one race of beings being in charge is still a little bit of the conditioning program, in that just like our body is an organism, but with, yes, your cell is an individual organism all of its own right, but it's surrounded by billions of other things, and those billions of other things can either decide to go cancerous and go awry right on your doorstep, or they can work with you. I think there's a lot of cancerous like energies in people that are also activated via beings that are able to use telepathy, able to use what we would call MK Ultra, but at a grander scale, and be able to infiltrate the mechanisms and the nuances of here in order to covet this power that they've have. And when you have that amount of power, the people in charge of the ship are going to go crazy. Nobody can hold on to this amount of power without the cells, i.e. us, that are responding to it in one way or another on a daily basis, going a little bit crazy. It takes a lot of strength to be that individual cell in a massive organism with all the different moving parts and all the different influences on each other to stand strong and say, I'm going to stay balanced in this. I'm going to stay grounded in this. You know, does that make sense? You know, so I don't think it's one being or one race of beings or one type of human even. I think it's an equation of interaction, and we've been far too imbalanced for too long with the outside of self, and so we can't stand strong. A lot of us, a lot of people are going crazy, and they are actually in charge of the streets right now.
They are. And you know, I have just to add that to it, and Trina, I want to get you pulled into the conversation as well. You know, here's my thing with the paranormal. You know, I love doing ghost hunting. I mean, I've got all the equipment. You know, I got the equipment and made the investment because for myself, I had to get the answers. You know, is there something tangible that is in the unseen realm?
I love that about you.
Well, thank you, darling. You ought to come with me. It's a lot of fun because they dance. But I have also found that there are, hear me out on this. I believe we've already been invaded, and it's showing up in what we call shadow people, shadow figures. And recently I have this camera here, which is an all spectrum camera. We're being able to pick up entities now with the camera that 20 years ago was impossible. And we're suddenly discovering that there are a plethora of these, and the only thing, they're not human. They're
No,
holy fuck. I just say that because recently it was shown one house, particularly, I think it was in Michigan, where the house itself must be a portal, because his security cameras and his cameras, and he alone was confronted. And these creatures, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, and I was meditating on this, and it my mind was suddenly just hit with, it was like seeing an equation that I couldn't even begin to understand in advanced calculus. And I think that, ladies, I think they're already here. I think that they're here in such numbers that when the general population finds out, I think that is when hell will be visiting Earth. And I think we're on the cusp of that.
I do too.
Well, go on, Trina. Sorry, hon.
I think that's the thing. It's like I see so many people who have gone super high into the higher levels of consciousness and haven't grounded in between the work, that they're losing their minds and they're being completely infiltrated by these higher energies that don't have bodies. And just because they don't have a body doesn't mean that they're not conscious and they don't have an agenda. And I see many people are now starting to realize that this is true. There is an entire realm of existence sitting in the same space we are, but we just cannot perceive it. Everything is about what can you see? And then after what can you see, how do you perceive that image? So everything is going to be reflecting upon how you're perceiving the world unfolding around you. But yes, this technology and then the natural part of this, the electromagnetic field getting less and less and less. You know, when astronauts go out into space, the magnetic field decreases and decreases and decreases. Every single one of them, when they come back, they all are artists. They all are poets. They see the world from a totally different way. And it's forever. They can't revert back to the way they used to view the world after they've had that lifting of the magnetics. Now, without the magnetic field, we die. So we need a magnetic field. But the fluctuations of the energy levels do change. And with that, our consciousness changes. So people who are not aware of this unseen reality coexisting with us simultaneously, when that reality bubble breaks, that's basically the shattering of the veil. Many of them will go instantly crazy. And many of them will be just like trying to process what they can see, because these images were never available to their perception prior to these magnetic shifts. So we're going to have a lot going on. But the beautiful thing is that this is, I think, a potential window for us to actually become better, because I think the magnetic field was so hard on us for a long time. It's literally been projecting the worst of us rather than the best. So we might lose a lot of people though through the psychosis, the flip.
We're seeing that. I mean,
I know.
and I did a video a number of years ago, if y'all remember, about terraforming Earth.
Yeah.
And that came from a vision I had where what I saw, and I did the video on it, that we are in fact the ones that are doing the terraforming for the new property keepers.
Yeah. 100%.
And look at what's happening to the world, ladies. It's here in the United States, and I don't know what you are hearing, Jenny, about the United States, but we are right now in this. We've never as a country have never been in a time like this. And if the reports are true, it looks like we may have another Nixon Watergate that's even 10 times worse. With this current president, we have things happening to a former president, and these things are what begin to divide a nation. Yeah. And pardon?
Exactly the same thing. I don't know too much about it because, again, I've had to sort of really detach from a lot of noise, you know, and that's one of the, to go in with the title, and I'll speak on that in a bit, but that's, you know, bringing it in. It's the only way to not go crazy in the chaos, by bringing in your tightrope, you know, bringing in your balancing to, you know, and you can't do that when there's noise weighing it down at either side that isn't even your noise. But I know a little bit about, you know, the headlines, because you can't miss them. They're putting out the spell work so strong right now. Oh
yeah, that's how spells work.
Yeah, even if you're completely detached from it, which I'm doing, foraging, hands are rough, feeling grounded, you know, going hard in the paint of me with nature, with plants that are very honest, you know. And so I've still had those headline hits of what's happening, the gist. Exactly the same playbook is being, just like in World War II. This isn't happening in all spaces in this realm. These playbooks aren't being played where our influence of corporate social media and mainstream media is involved, where it hasn't got its fingers. the same playbook exactly to the fact of like Boris is our dumpy President Trump, with his blonde hair and his oddly tanned
Do you know
skin.
that, Jen, and I don't know if you know that here, but here there are actual people that actually believe that this dude is the Christ.
A Messiah. And there's people here that believe that of Boris. And I'm like, the guy cannot be monogamous. He cannot keep it in his pants. He doesn't know how many children he's got. He lies he lies to himself about his own breakfast. I mean,
oh man.
So
too, before that, they were producing the Obama as Christ.
Yeah,
I remember. In fact, I think Time magazine actually did that. Yes.
He was on a cross.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's like a mocking. That's a mocking. That's an absolute mocking of the people, because they know that they're conditioning people to see these saviors. And the more people shout them down and say, well, he's an abuser, he's this, he's that, what are you doing? They're like, that's what they did to Jesus too. They put Jesus on a cross too. So there's no speaking to that kind of crazy. And then we've got
I'll borrow the phrase from Forrest Gump. There ain't no fixing stupid.
Right.
And stupid. No, and there ain't no talking to it either, because you don't want it talking back to you. When you start talking to it, it invariably talks back to you, and that's when you lose your shit in the chaos. So it's very important who you lend your ear to and who you lend your voice to, because it will respond.
Because that's exactly what happens. You do lose your shit, man. I mean,
and you walk away from these people thinking, oh, I need the balance. Where did that rage come from?
I feel like Leonard Skinner going, excuse me.
Yeah. It's like those grifters that came after me. They've learned some biblical scripture. They've been paid off to be this fool.
Oh, man.
And it's like, once you start talking to them, it's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. You're not even listening to my response. You can't even handle my response. You can't handle the truth, so walk on by, but they don't do that until you shut up. If you don't shut up, they'll continue. They've got endurance like Duracell batteries. Other batteries are available. They just go on, the more you respond. So you can't speak to that type of crazy. But then we've got this Rishi Sunak, which is very similar to Biden. He's a multi-billionaire. He's got his hands in every pocket, but he's the poor guy that rose up from the Bronx or wherever Biden's from, like the grounded guy. And I'm from Ireland, by the way. The guy is Pakistani, I think. He's got no Irish descent in his family at all. But every president, every MP, every whatever else we've got in this country, they've all got to hark back to Ireland. Why? Because they're all terrible to Ireland. So it softens the blow, because the Irish, once they realise they've been fooled, the Irish get violent. So they've really got to condition the Irish people, which the Catholic Church does well. But again, it's all this same blueprint. And I do think this hijack, I talk about that as come in, and I do think we would recognize them as very different beings to us. But I do guarantee that there are many of us that have, to varying degrees, slices of their DNA in it, because they wrote about it. They wrote about those experiments in the tablets. They wrote about them. So again, it's like, it's insidious, isn't it? So you've got to really...
Jenny, I think we need to stop there, because you really bring up an interesting point. So let's say the alien disclosure is made, and oh crap, here it is, national television. We see these beings that are not human. They may be human-like, humanid, but they're not human. And so this is where cognitive dissonance kicks in on a worldwide basis, because now what do you do with 5 billion people that believe primarily in the Abrahamic belief system, its umbrella? What do you do when that reality comes? Because how do they portray this? I mean, all of a sudden your religions either become apocalyptic in their next phase, or it proves that all religions are false.
Well, I guarantee you
unless you have an alien coming up here and preaching Jesus. I can't see that.
I
Well, I
can.
guarantee you a lot of them will fall to their feet and say,
That's
"This
what
is
I'm
the
saying. I think it's
rapture
coming.
me." You know,
Mm.
there'll be a lot of those, in those millions of people will fall to their feet and say, God sent his, I don't know,
Oh, these
highwaymen.
are the gods. These are the
Yeah,
gods of the
these are the
Bible.
angels.
Yes.
They'll be angels. And
Yep.
so again, it's
Yep.
like, they'll, a lot of them will drop to their knees and say,
Yep.
capture me, you
Yep.
know, and I want to go home like E.T. They will. And then the others there'll be a lot of suicides because the others have like their
They'll be
whole
like, I'm out.
being,
Yeah,
the
I'm out.
whole generational being, all of their conditioning, all of the things that they've suffered because of religion, all of a sudden come boom home to roost. That's
Yep.
I'm out.
Someone wrote me recently and said that we are in I think it's the fourth or fifth seal in the book of Revelations. And this is the next one to happen, is that we will see a third of the heavens fall. And that it says it eventually gets to the point where there is this delirium of confusion that inhabits every being on this planet.
Yeah.
So you talked about, and you and I, Trina, before, about we are right now living, us humans right now, this point in time, we're living in the middle of a magnetic excursion.
Yeah.
Our magnetic poles are moving.
We have 4 right now. We've never
Yeah.
had. That's
You know,
never been
it
in
was
my
a
lifetime.
tripod.
Yeah, never.
So I have a feeling, as you said, as the magnetopause continues to weaken, more cosmic rays get in. Cosmic rays in human brains make you batshit crazy.
But they're also too the soul's essence. So it goes both ways. If you can't process these higher vibrations, it's gonna flip you out. But
They are flipping out.
We know how to go into higher levels of consciousness. Wayne, this is just going to be like a bonus prize.
But I think it's going to be the opposite to a great part. And Jenny, what's your on the vast majority of people on the planet? It's going to be the opposite.
You're right.
It is
I believe
the
that.
opposite. It is. And I said a few weeks ago that these sun frequencies, they're going to hit you. They hit you. It depends, again, what lens you can look at them through and what type of DNA you've got to an extent as to what you can do with that and
Correct.
for how long you can do that. But
Yeah.
only the few will find the middle path. Only the few will find that balancing on the tightrope, because the slews of people from all sides are not ready. They are so invested in winning. They are so invested in somebody else losing that ultimately they're going to be played like fiddles until this crescendo moment where, you know, of one side, you know, the other side, which means we can never just reach a unity and say, okay, these are the lines in the sand. Actually, we don't go to other countries and bomb them. We don't expect them to come to us and bomb them. We don't treat our most vulnerable with disdain, and we don't send our men and women off as cattle fodder, cannon fodder, you know, for the corporations to have more oil. There's basic lines we could all draw very easily, and this lifts. But it's not, they don't want that. And that's because I think it goes back to a lot of different layers of this. And a lot of this is that those that walk amongst us have quite major slices of whatever DNA strands that cause them to be more aggressive, more wanting to win and have somebody else lose. So the people at the top are very much speaking to their people. You know, the people in parliament and in governments are very much speaking to their people, to their flock, so to speak. And blazing truth could shoot them between the eyes, and they would still say that that was, you know, an attack on the savior, or that was a slight on the church. That whatever their harnessing on the outside of themselves, there's something about the inside of them that's really ready to accept this. And so that's the thing that I've had about this whole awakening psyops, in that we're always in rolling levels of awakening. You know, I'll never reach the end of my being and the end of the understanding of me, let alone you.
I
You
can't
know,
even fathom it. When
you
people
can't.
do,
It's
you
infinite,
can't
and
even fathom. Yeah,
exactly. So it
no
gets
way.
too big, and so and then you have to recognize that. Okay, that's where I go crazy when I start to try and have it all instead of just being in the
What
present
if
moment.
we've been warned? You know, I was meditating and I'm continually pulled back to the Georgia Guidestones. Their whole how they were built, how they were put in there, the message that they had to say. And if you remember, the planet could be no more than 500 million people, and that there was a new set of laws that were set as to principle. What if that was a message that this invading force that I'm talking about, that we call the shadow people, whatever they are, we know they're here. We know that there is structure. We know that they have intelligence. They know that we can't see them, but they can see us.
Yep.
And so let's say Earth is this valuable prize, because if you look into the cosmos, there isn't a lot of planets like Earth. I mean, there's a lot of planets. There's just not a lot like Earth.
I don't think there's any like Earth, Wayne.
I'll take that.
I think it's
So
unique.
what if we are sitting in the middle of this alien invasion, and the three of us, they now are aware that we now are aware of them, and the fact that we have even an audience of how many people are listening right now.
Yep.
I mean,
they've been aware since we were born. You know,
I
they've
think
been
so
aware
too.
since we were born. I know that from things that have followed me and watched me, and that other people picked up on. I know I've got that watcher above my bed, that no matter how strong I am spiritually, and I'm pretty badass when I get down to it, it won't shift.
No doubt.
You know, it just will not shift. And it hasn't ever caused harm. It's just there observing like a freaking librarian. And so it
And I
is.
got that same shit going on too, and I've always felt it around, and it literally it just observes. Yeah,
Just yeah,
but
yeah.
I literally I wonder if that's the two witnesses part of our being, and that's actually an aspect of you that is the watcher.
Yeah, yeah, but it feeds back to something, and so they've known about me, and who are they? I don't know, because there's a lot of different things that have come over the time. So who, you know, so it's there's for a grand scale, they've known anyway, and as far as the more smaller scale, like government wise, they've known. We've all had to touch base with the systems one way or the other, or challenge them, or, you know, so we're very much seen anyway. So at this point, I'm like, in for a penny, in for a pound, you know, because it's you know,
it's true.
it is what it is at this point. It was what it was when I came out of my mother's womb, you know, so it was already there. And the other thing is, the only other option is to conform to insanity, which I'm just not going to do. I refuse to do that. So it is what it is, basically, I think, for a lot of people. But there is a point of consideration of wisdom, of really pulling in that part of self that would give everything to see other people whole, you know, and really reining that in and being careful where you put that. Because again, even if you put in love into something in a loving way, if you put in that into somebody who is imbalanced in a certain way, it's going to be reflected back to you in a way that really wasn't worth it for them or you. So there is that wisdom right now to really pull in into your tribe, into your people, into your frequencies that you can dance freely in. And that's why things like this are so important, to touch base. That goes with this title today, of touching base with people who can resonate with you, to find some, not even peace in same ability, but if that's a word, but peace in even the differences amongst each other, but still being able to stay balanced in that, is so refreshing and so cleansing, you know, to know that it's okay to ponder, it's okay to think. And I think that's the other thing that is super interesting about Earth, is these human bodies, in that the brain and the mind combined. So the mind being the consciousness and unseen, but then this physical brain that's able to fire up and file in and file out and delete and this, that, and the other, like a supercomputer,
Yep.
is what is a real pull into things that want to have power over other things that want to have other things worship them, work for them, but express for them. There's something about that the mind feels like a holy grail moment in people who coveted machinery, coveted technology, coveted knowledge to control it. And that's where religion came in. That's where the blueprint of religion came in. And that there's variations of religion being rolled out everywhere right now. We've all been involved and know about either church people or being in the damn places. So, we all know
we have a worship gene that they've just found. It's been installed.
Some of us do. Some of us do. Some of us don't.
I've met those that don't. Let me ask you ladies real quick. So mind to thought. Who is at what is actually going here? Does thought require a mind, or is the mind just merely the conscious aspect of a brain, of an organ? How do y'all see that?
I think the mind's like a gateway, isn't it? Like a tool, a fabulous tool, a magical tool.
So do we all have a mind? Is it, I was thinking about this yesterday as I did that show, is that someone wrote me and talked about the difference of the brain is the physical aspect of the mind.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I meant. Sorry, yes. Yeah. It's like the computer, isn't it, to the software?
Kind of, yeah.
But the thing is like there's such a profound difference in expression over brain and mind, because most people are not utilizing the mind power. They're utilizing brain power. They're utilizing everything from this realm of that's available. They're not going into the higher mind, which is the universal consciousness. The higher mind and the mind is part of source creation. So everything is available through mind, but can you perceive it with your mental brain?
Yeah, they say that we actually use 100% of our brain, but we don't activate 100% of it.
I think that's true. I think that's true. But the thing is like the body, remember I told you the body has a consciousness of its own?
Yeah, it actually has a spirit. I give thanks to my spirit body.
Yes. So that part of you, though,
because that's the only way I'm going to know y'all on the other side is you're going to have the imprint on your energy, and I'll recognize you as Trina. I'll recognize you as Jenny.
Yeah, it won't. You won't. Yeah, they're
otherwise I don't know what the hell your minds look like.
You will know.
Far out, babe. I mean, it's like, yeah, man.
Psychedelic. And then I'll drop you into the depth of the dark.
Right.
I want to get that Spock thing going, man. I want to get that mind meld, It's like, all right, Jenny, far out, man.
Yeah,
it's like,
I'll be like one of those fish, with the dangling thing in front of them, with the light on, attracting you in with a fish with a trunk. Be like, over here.
No, that's just funny.
Over here.
By the way, I heard the greatest definition for wisdom. Are y'all ready for this? Wisdom is merely applied knowledge.
Yes, it's one step above knowledge. I've written that before. That's true.
Perfect. And that's where Trina was saying with the body and stuff, in that you've got a lot of people, a lot of beings, people might say non-playable characters walking around with a brain.
Yes.
Very disconnected from any sort of mind that I recognize, I fail to see it in people. And so now you've got these people who have had these technologies, have had this ancient knowledge, applying it in a modern way. So they see the brain as a holy grail of just like, right, we can just sit little trigger points in billions of brains around the world, little filing systems that we can just put a headline out and know that sector of the community has been conditioned this way since birth. That sector of the community has been going to this type of church since birth. They're very good at doing that to Irish people, in that a lot of people who I know from Ireland, friends, great friends, have said the conditioned, religious conditioned over there has people in such a state of guilt and shame that there's generational filing systems, from what I can see, that can be triggered by a speech from the Pope or a pastor coming out with a certain line to really pull that file of guilt and shame out and make it identify with them. And you've got these people walking around with these brains that have the capacity to filter mind, which is enormous. And so they're powerful tools. They're powerful walking biological AI, which is why I say AI is just another morphing of the already biological AI that's been here the whole time. And this is where you get people walking around, and because they get that trigger in that filing system, they'll punch somebody or they'll attack somebody, rather than being able to reach beyond the brain, the filing system, into what am I feeling here? What would be the ramifications of me punching that person? Do they really deserve it?
Okay, let's stop on that right there. That's an interesting point, because, you know, again, I did a show that in my guide was showing me, and it's weird that when I looked into a crowd, I only saw a very few that actually had a soul.
Me too.
I saw many other people. They were human. They had emotions. They had everything else, but they didn't have a soul. And maybe it's more the fact that they didn't have a soul like mine, because I don't believe we all have the same type of soul.
No, maybe.
Or spirit. I mean, however you want to define what that inner being is.
Yeah.
Because I believe that when we die, we all don't go to the same place.
No.
We've seen it. I mean, I've talked about it, Trina. I've written about it. Is the place I've seen it? It's like a Grand Central Station. I mean, it is freaking busy there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, I actually saw one of my relatives. They were departing. They were going to a different place. None of us were going to where that relative was going.
Yeah.
Which is why it's important to really master that being able to stay balanced in chaos, because there's chaos in that unseen other side. Like this conditioning of like, oh, you're going to be ushered, into, the gates that are the only gates either way, either hot gates or cool gates, you go in either way. It's not that at all. It's immense. It's the same as here. There are places in this realm that we have not gone and discovered yet, or we have, and it's been hidden, but it's so far out of what we would expect. But there's much movement there, but we can't go there yet because we haven't got the apparatus or the abilities, whatever that is, even down to the sea. There's layers that we can't get to that hasn't been, and it's busy there. There's a lot of beings there. There's a lot of life there. So as above, so below, as within, so without. There's no change just because this body dies.
But you know what, Jenny? It's souls like yours, Trina, and I can look in this group, and I know y'all by the way that you write, that there are a lot of like-minded spirit beings, souls here. We were drawn together on this, and we have, because the longevity of just being at this place most of the time every day, we've actually formed this. The gentleman that the guy that you were dating that time, Trina, with his dad, that we build this conscience network.
Web of consciousness.
Thank you.
It's profound. Yeah. It's profound. Everything we touch, we affect.
Yeah.
It's profound.
And I think that many of us will when we do, because that's the thing I'm finding in my meditation time, is that I find myself more and more becoming detached to this realm. I mean, yeah, it's the only one that I can physically remember, but I'm also now becoming reacquainted with there's another existence that doesn't require the physical corporeal body. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Of
Yeah,
That
course,
does to me.
does
of
to me
course,
too.
of course it does.
Yeah.
You do that here when you project to me something, or you projected to Kaz the other week, you know, if
Yeah.
like Kaz on, and Kaz was willing you to do that. So you didn't use your physical body to do that. You used your physical body to then react to that and click the button that you needed to click.
You saw it
But
happen. It was like,
so yeah, so it was an interaction of you doing you, but then reaching Kaz and Kaz doing her and but pressing buttons physically. But firstly, there was that unseen, and so that didn't take a body. That was frequency and frequency only, and telepathy. And so it is those breadcrumbs to go home. That's what I'm finding right now. I've forgotten what that story's from, but you know, in the kids.
Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel, yeah. It's those breadcrumbs to go home. And that's the detachment. And the home is actually here too. I'm not one of these people who is in a hurry to get off this realm. I came here for fun, and I'm having my fun.
I am too. It's like,
Yeah, and I will do that. But again, it's the letting go, I think, of the veils of bullshit attachment, really, politics, people, you know, fashion, whatever it is. There's the constantly letting go of that and finding those breadcrumbs again, you know, finding those points and transition points in your time within you, which then is your consciousness, because you're not doing it physically, and tracing your steps back home. And you're doing that to really refine that chakra system, which does mean both here and simultaneously when you die, which you already have done. So you're already at a point, a fractal of you is imprinted in that bus station that's so fast, you know, and there's lots of movement and relatives and people are going here, there and everywhere. You're finding those crumbs, and you're able to connect the two. What's the difficulty is staying balanced and still being able to be connected to the physical and the spiritual. A lot of people that are going crazy and losing themselves in the chaos is they've totally lost their breadcrumbs. They've been given no wisdom to know how to find those breadcrumbs. They're being given false breadcrumbs through biblical teachings in a very distorted way, Quran teachings in a very distorted way. So they're finding their way back home to a place that they never even came from, really. But so there's confusion. And that's where you hear that spiritual realm getting very loud, very confused, which is why I've had to keep detaching. I've had to keep doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, I can't facilitate my roles that I came here to play, you know. So there is that balance point of you are the all, but don't try and be the all to all things, because that all doesn't really exist to you. Because yes, we're starting to see things on cameras more and stuff like that. I think that's just when these beings can get in here easier because of the way that the planet moves and the way that the stars align. There's portals that open up and boom, they're here. We're back, boys, you know, we're going to check on the experiment. But, you know, the people are going crazy when they can't find that way home and that structure, and they're getting too lost in the spiritual part of it because they can't stand the physical part of it. So they get so lost that they do enter into this spiritual void that can be quite frightening, quite disconcerting. What do they do then? They fear death. So again, a lot of people are going crazy over the fear of death, so much so that they kill themselves, or so much so that they kill someone else.
So there's irony, you know, your fear of death, but you're going to kill yourself. But it's something that you said again, and we've talked about this, but yeah, it's amazing because if you really believe in the future, we're already dead.
Yeah.
I mean, Trina, you and I are already on the other side. We've met Brian, you know, we sat down, had a hamburger and had a Pepsi. Yeah, they do have hamburgers and Pepsis on the other side because it's here. Yeah. But I was meditating on this, that we're already technically dead. What am I living then? Am I living a memory here with y'all? Are we actually able to are we actually going back in time and living a memory that we want to carry forward into the future?
I
And I
think
What
was
say y'all?
go on, you, Trina.
I just think the physical body is death. It's a temporary vessel you're in.
It is
you're
temporary.
inhabiting. So this is death because you can only experience death when you have a physical body that dies. So this is the death realm because this is where you experience the death of half of what you are in this part of creation.
Do you accept the fact that you're already, though, dead in the future?
Yes, because I've
Okay.
seen multiple fractals of myself and they're existing on different dimensions and different realities, and they're all
But this
living
one here is what I'm
lives.
talking about, Trina, because, the only way I'll be able to recognize you on the other side is, again, it's the blonde hair. Ah, that's
No,
Trina. I know who that is.
Wayne, no. I will walk in a ball of light and you
I
will
know. I'm just,
you will know it.
yeah.
You will know it, and I will know you. Brian showed me himself in the light and I knew it was him. I was like, oh, Brian. And then he laughed at me because he's like, yep, you got it.
It's just the idea that
you guys. I'm gonna jump scare you guys with my light, making you come to mine.
well, it is an interesting thought that, we're living in this moment that we call the present, but the present is it's translucent in the aspect that the present is made of both the past and the future.
Yes.
Well, since you said translucent, how many cells in your body have said the last die in death?
Yeah.
Lots. And again, since I said lots, how many more have died since? Lots. How many more have been born? Lots. You're in a constant state of death.
Yeah.
I picked some marrow today, and I was eating it as I was walking along, and I was like, I really appreciate the fact that you're going through a bit of a tumultuous time right now in my mouth. I'm gonna use you for good. Let me think on your thoughts. And I went off on an escapade of the thoughts of that plant, but I killed it, I ate it, I transmuted it, but then it's still living in my cells right now. So it might have had a longer life within me than it was going to have where it was sitting, because they were about to cut all the hedgerow. So, does it want to be dying, shriveled
You're the
up?
epitome of sausage party. That's all I got to say.
I'm like, I'm your savior. Come on. Come to the factory.
The fruits and vegetables are going, she's a god. She's a god. Would you please eat me?
Look, she shined on me. She won't pass me.
Because you're true. You eat and now you've absorbed that energy. Yeah.
So that we're in constant state of life and death. So yes, that plant is still alive. Yes. Did it die? Had it already died? Yes, because I'd already planned to go on that walk, and I knew as soon as I found one of those I was going to eat it, because I knew I needed it today. So again, it's all happening simultaneously. And that's the other thing that's really dissolving right now, and they're really struggling to stay lockstep with their construct of time, because that's been a huge conditioning and controlling role. You'll find that you're looking at the time far less, and when you do, you're seeing synchronistic numbers every time practically, and you'll find a lot of us going on that breadcrumb valley walk, we're actually getting back in tune with letting go of that attachment of what somebody else says is day or night, and we're just feeling it. We're feeling the day or night. We're getting up nice and early here because it's cool then, so you can get the days done, but the sun's got you tired out naturally by 6, 7 o'clock. So you're ready, and that's a natural cycle that goes with the circadian rhythm of your heart. That's the phi. So where you find a lot of people really thinking, yeah, I can do this, bring on the chaos, I'll only get involved if I have to, but I'm here, I'm getting stronger while I wait. There's a lot of people feeling the dissolving of that time and literally burning out because their time's out. They don't know anything else past a dictated center of time of this is what you do, these are the holidays you've earned, this is how long you can be on that beach, this is it. They're very much stuck in that construct, and that construct is finding it hard to stay as an overlay in this realm right now. So that's sending people crazy too, because now people have been waiting for this time, this whole revelation story in the way that it's been depicted. They're waiting for this winning, triumphant moment, and they just keep like moving the goalpost out slowly but surely, you know, like, oh, not yet, sorry, not yet, and the savior's not coming yet, he's coming soon. And they keep moving it out. People are burning out because that timeline is moving. So
I think I know this channel attracts a lot of those people who are making that transition from Christianity into, they don't know what to call it.
It's a
you know?
spirituality. It's
Yeah,
connecting back to the spirit rather than the monkey mind and the programs and the religions. You're trying to connect to the true essence of what you are, which is the spirit. That's why it's called inspiration. We capture those rays of consciousness, but you have to be in a vibrational match. So it's like the way this construct works. It's like the soul is the feeling part. So whatever you're feeling, the rays of creation are connecting to those vibrations because you're an energy field vibrating frequencies. And the only way to affect the physical world is through the spiritual part of what you are as the wholeness of what you are. Because this is a part of what you are in a body that eventually will die. But this is the only way I think that we can actually affect the physical worlds is to come into them. And that's
what I think we do here? I think we also help people identify as to what their spirit is. Because if you're coming out of a religion, Jenny, like you pointed out, you're so tunnel vision.
Programmed.
Yeah, programmed. Yeah. And then you get that deprogramming and you're going,
who
I
am
still
I?
feel spiritual.
Oh my God, who am I?
Yeah,
My identity's gone. What about all that? Now am I wrong? You go through the whole meltdown.
Oh shit, everything.
The whole meltdown. Just melt.
And it's like, yeah, you just want to say to them, don't you? Like, no, you had this amazing experience. You did.
Exactly.
You tuned in. You tuned in to the frequency that you really understood, fractals of you that you'd never understood before. You really did have that freaking experience. Just please ignore what the person who was maybe praying over you was saying it was from. Maybe, because what they're really good at, at getting other people to do the work, or just having an organic thing happen at the right moment in time where people feel that energy, that kundalini, that spiral, that that being slain in spirit, the spiritual laughter, or whatever it is. And all they do is get their label and stick it on the people's forehead and say, that was from us, you're welcome. It's like,
it's 10%. You got to pay something in the pot.
Come on now. We said we perform for you. You perform, but yes, we did it. We made you do it. So they pretend that they've got these invisible strings on these people. So you're trying to say to them, no, it was really you. Even if I cut all those strings to the things you've been believing for 20 years, all of those inner standings of you were you. And then they'll say to you, but I saw Jesus in a vision. And it's like, yeah, you did, because you were looking at the energy, the frequency that carries the stories that have been given another name, but you were looking at it from the lens that you'd been given, and that lens began with a J that didn't exist. Never mind that, but it was a lens of somebody else's vision of what that would be. What did you feel when you saw Jesus? Oh, love. Okay, so just take the name away. What do you feel about it now? Well, it was just love. Okay, just apply that then. Without the label.
Pretty simple, isn't it?
That's it.
But it's hard. A lot of them want to shoot you when you say it.
Burn at the stake, it's like, put a stake through your heart,
They've got the garlic. Burn the wench.
It's the whole thing. Everybody's seeking God. And when you look at what is God, it's creation. And this creation was based with a benevolence. And it has multiple levels of all of it in it. But this is just what you make it. And I think that's the most powerful lesson we could learn, is that we're experiencing what we're creating. And I know that we're on a planet experiencing all these different things and earth changes, but I have a strong suspicion we were part of that too.
Yeah.
think we were. Hey, Theodore.
Me too.
How
Hi,
are
Theo.
you?
How
Good
are
to
you,
see you, my
beautiful woman?
man. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. How are you doing?
Mm.
Good
Oh,
to
he's giving
see
me a high
you.
five. There
High
you go.
five. That's my man.
Really high five. Yes,
That's
he's getting more and more blonde in the sun. He goes so blonde. But that's true,
Summertime.
Trina. And it's like the Kabbalah's, you know, it says God then looks at itself and creates from
Yes.
itself, you know. It does, and that's what you do. And so you look at yourself and you can create from yourself, but it really is about stripping away the lenses of distortion before you do that. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy. You're going to
Yeah.
go a bit mad. And we're seeing that on the streets.
Yeah. It's
Theodore. How you doing?
Little teddy bear, yeah?
yeah.
Are you
He's
enjoying
tired.
the summer?
It's not school holidays yet, so he's not really feeling
Oh,
it.
is he still in school?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Theodore, that's all right. You learn a lot, but you're a
Yeah, sucks
smart
a
dude.
little bit. Yeah.
You've got an
He's reading,
incredibly intelligent mom. So,
oh,
yeah.
see, believe him. It's Wayne. You have to believe it. um, it he's reading past the age of like 16 years old now. They can't keep up with him with the books at school. Sit
Far
on
out.
so
Far
he's
out.
reading like past a 16-year-old teenager. He's only 8. So he's doing great on that, aren't you?
That's amazing, Theo. That's great.
Theodore, you need to study philosophy, my friend. At your
Very
young
good.
age, could you imagine what would be created and birthed? Oh, wow.
When
You
the
know,
thing
Theodore,
comes
what's
out
that,
of
hon?
him, the things that come out of him already, I really don't need to give him a book. he just comes out.
Theodore is the
Wow.
expression of unlimited potentiality.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of us still are a Theodore.
Yeah.
Every
yeah.
one of you are still that young Loretta,
That's what I
that
say.
young Jargo, young Trina.
When I look at Theo, I see Christ. The
See?
potential of everything that we could be in a beautiful expression of life living. He is
Yeah.
beautiful.
He
See,
is.
my Theodore, my younger Wayne, that would be Theodore's age, he's really proud of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him here recently, and he's like, "You lived up to everything of what I thought."
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And
There's
that's the whole.
that's deep for someone. You need to think
Yeah,
about what was
that's
just.
the whole premise. It's true that was given for somebody just there, and that's the whole premise of a lot of the spiritual coaching that I do. It's very much I want to recreate the connection points between the person that's sitting in front of me and the being of the Theodore that lives within them, and I get them to look at the eyelashes of them, as that age. Get them to look at the little dimples and the gorgeous skin, the adorable nose, and they get them to fall in love, but with them, as that, unlimited potential. And it's at that point where you can really unlock all of that guilt and shame. And then I get them to make a pledge to their inner self. I get them to put their hand out and touch the petite little hand of their child, of like Shirley, Delistra, Pengreedy. He's experienced that with me. Put the hand out and hold the hand and feel the adult hand to that child hand. And you make a pledge to say, you can trust me. Where there were adults in your life that you maybe didn't trust or couldn't trust, you've actually got me now, so you can dance freely within me. I promise to always keep you safe within reason. I promise to always look at things in a balanced way. And if I get out of balance, I promise to come back and laugh with you about it. So you never need to be afraid of that raging man or that raging woman that frightened you. Now I'm your adult. Now you can play, and actually you can drive, and say something like that to the child. It's very powerful, very powerful.
I would have asked for your car keys if you told me that, Jen. Just saying.
Yeah.
I love it.
I would want the car keys. I would.
On the back of my
okay,
bike.
I want the keys. Give me the keys.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, everybody, I hope you've had fun on this one. This has been a great show. I really have enjoyed it. You know, Theodora, love seeing you, my man. Ladies, words sometimes fail, but there's always such great gnosis that is learned here. You know, there's knowledge, and if we apply that knowledge, we then have wisdom. So y'all are smart ladies. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
As
she's
are
one
you,
special
Wayne.
girl, as are you.
And you're beautiful. So, you know, I hear
Easy on
Jesse
the
Colin
eye.
Young in the head, you know.
There you go. This is the first week that I've ever looked at the title before I came on.
Oh,
Yeah. I forgot. I thought, shouldn't we just roll with it? And I thought, no, but I'll put the title on to see. And I realized it's the first week on your shows that I've ever looked at the title before we come on. So it just shows how organic it is and
well,
how rolling
I
it
did
is.
not know that, but that's also that's one of those things you want to write down in the book.
Yeah, it's an admission of mine. It's the first time I've looked at Wayne's title, and I don't know how many times I've been on with him and Trina now.
Yeah.
I love this.
It's so funny. It's like we don't even need it because we just align.
Just naturally
Yeah.
gravitate towards it.
We
And
align.
you feel comfortable in the energies that you know you're coming into. You know, I know I could snuggle with you on the sofa, Trina, and brush your hair. You know, I know for a fact I would
just
massage
be
some oil
sisters.
into Wayne's head, you know, quite
Yeah.
happily without asking, you know, so it's just
Yeah.
nice. These are the kinds of things that really stop you going crazy in the chaos.
You know what happened to me this week? It was so profound. I've never, like I said, the Lord was like a family member to me. The whole Jesus thing, which that was just weird. But interesting enough, my whole life, everybody's like, well, what does he do? It's like my brother. I'd always say that when I was little, and I stopped saying it because people think you're crazy. But it was so funny from the mouths of babes. And I heard a child this week, and his parents said to him, well, what do you think about Jesus? And he looked him straight in the face. He goes, he's my brother. What's it to you? I was like, oh,
What an attitude. I love it.
yeah, you did. Wow. Wow. Oh, thank you, little one. Really? Because, you know, I was feeling really alone on that island for a long time.
Yeah. You don't know what you've done for me today, little one.
Right? I was like,
Yeah.
thank you, you brilliant, wise, little loving soul. I needed that. So thank you. Just
Mm.
thank
So
you.
innocent it is. I mean, Theodore's come out and said, can I be Jewish one week? And then the next week come out and said, can I be Catholic? And it's like, well,
Absolutely. Do it all.
he said the Jewish one and the Catholic one at school because you've got them Christian.
I never said
Yes,
that.
you did, you lie. He loves to do this to me.
I think looking at all the religions is a profound gift because they all hold beauty and they all hold chaos. So it's so wonderful to just go through it and see who am I? What resonates with me? Because there's nobody like you. So you're all developing your own individualized I am presence of source existing and creating as a separate part of it. So we're all different, and to fully embrace and try to discover what am I? What did I want to create? What did I want to manifest in this physical plane? You know, those are the questions I ask every day. And then the other part is like everything that we feel will manifest our outward reality. So really try hard to feel good and feel good about who you are and love yourself, because then the world's going to open up to you in a different way because of the way that you feel about you.
Yeah.
What a way to close. All right, ladies. See y'all
Big
next week.
love.
I love
Theodore,
you.
one day we'll have to have you come on and tell us what you have learned in life so far.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From the wisdom of Theodore.
I'm telling you, probably be a show you would not want to miss. All right, everybody. Thank you for, I know we went over, but sometimes, you know, the knowledge comes when it comes. That's all I know. All right. All right. Much love. See y'all tomorrow.